So the BBC did their most rightful thing, and I think this is not the first time, it's only in Kenya that they have exposed
the wrongs.
The wrongs which are happening. So the state just need to do the right thing, as you are putting in that truth will set you free. Let us know that truth, and then those who committed the atrocities to be brought to books. Because there's a woman sitting somewhere who lost a son. There's a woman sitting somewhere who lost an husband. There's an orphan somewhere today because of the atrocities which were made on the street. For someone who's only having a placard, a water, and a Kenyan flag. There's someone today sitting somewhere who's still traumatized. That state have never compensated them. That's why one of the things that we from our party, ODM, we are pushing in this one of our 10th, I think, 5th agenda, that those who lost their lives, those some of them lost their limbs, their family lost their loved ones, they need to be compensated. Though life can't be compensated fully, but they need that sorry thing. They need to be, I don't know how I can
like someone needs to tell them sorry for whatever it happened. It was never meant to happen
that much.
But what if they won't say? That means they meant whatever they were doing.
It's not about saying, but in fact, at first we were thinking, we have been waiting for state to apologize. That apology, we have never received it. Then the compensation, it has never devolved back. As it was put in our 10-point agenda on the progressive government, that ODM and UDA side, that's something we're going to follow keenly. And that's what SG is following. That's what he told us. Even party members are doing the same. That is there. And then again on the BBC thing, as you're asking me, that why is the state threatened by this? We all know who commands the bullet in the country. Who commands the bullet? These people were not dying by stone. They were not dying. They were not beaten by sticks. They were shot. You get. So who commands the bullet? They must be held accountable. And I'm pretty sure that the government that will come in place during our time will follow up these things, and those people who killed our fellows will have to pay it back. I'll tell you. I promise.
There's something I should tell people again.
I promise.
It doesn't matter what you do now when you're in power. Because whatever you've done, it has been written down. And in the future, the truth will still come out and it will be followed up. Now, people think like we just do it because we have all the cover that we want for now and will never ever be found at any moment.
As I've been saying it again and again, Kenya is not Uganda, let me put it that way. We don't have inheritary leadership. The government will change into another aunt after 5 or 10 years. But it will be 5 years, not 10 years. So that must be 10 years for individual. If the government is not serving the people, say lazima ikuwe mtu moja.
They must serve to the maximum, and the maximum is 10 years. Like it's
what
a share.
What does the Constitution say?
Like it's a share.
It is 10. It is 5 years.
It's 5 years,
not
but
10.
There's never been in history of this country. There's never been a president who has served for 5 years.
How long have we had the new constitution? For how long? This is the 15th. This is the 15th year. This is the 12th year.
12th year, not 15th year.
So the 12th year, when they said 10, it was Uhuru Kenyatta. Who said that lazima tukue na rais lazima serve 10 years? It is not 10 years, after 5 years. But there's no problem with serving 5 years. Akishinda kuchapa kazi,
arudi nyumbani mtu mwingine aingie.
The country will still move on, with or without William Ruto. Uhuru alienda nyumbani the other day. After finishing his 10 years. But the country is moving on, even though we are not on the right trajectory as a nation.
So unasema Ruto achape zake 5 iishe aende nyumbani.
Alituleta scorecard kama tutampea ingine 5. Kama tumeona haifiki, then we have capable leaders in this country. From our political party, I'm pretty sure we'll field a candidate when that time comes. And that's why we, the Youth League of the ODM party, we are pushing for that party to be more vibrant, have more visibility, have more young people into it. If it comes 2027, we are not a small party. We are going to field a candidate.
So if ODM has to field a leader, who do you think will field?
The party in the top leadership will sit down and give us the leader.
For now,
we are pushing, we are stealing the party, taking it to the ground, taking it to the people, and mark you know that the party is still very strong. That young man still moves around in this guy. Tinga still moves around in this guy. The laps anachapa.
ODM with Tinga.
The laps anachapa. Kuna kijana mwingine hawezi chapa mali namuuliza. Mtu anataka kuzunguka. Niseme vibaya. Mtu anataka kuzunguka in the 4 counties,
in the
3 counties.
In the absence of Tinga, who do you think will take?
Tinga still there. We don't need to talk about that. We'll talk about that when the
just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah.
In case Tinga is still there. Take us to the.
You're talking about young people.
I'm talking
about the vibrancy of the young people in the Oyeie party.
Yeah.
And people feel that they should by change, and there are people like there are people, possible people who have shown that they can take over the leadership.
People like
there is Sifuna.
Sifuna kidogo ukisitaja Sifuna nataka utaje moja nikikujibu. Sifuna is only one of the top most leadership in the party. Is the SG of the ODM party. So which other person do you want Sifuna to hold? Sifuna is the spokesman of the party. Is the one who's in the custody of the party documents and party position. Sifuna is the voice of the party. So SG is holding a very powerful position in the party.
But he can still become
another person.
No, he can still become. He's holding that position, but he can be a presidential aspirant within the party.
That's no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll touch him too much.
There is Babu Wino.
Babu Wino.
Very young and vibrant.
I may not talk much about that today. I may not be a good person to talk about his ambitions. His vibrancy, we know, yes, okay, it's vibrant.
With a very good track record of development within his constituency.
That's okay. Now,
do you think he has what it calls to do a job for the presidential candidacy?
No, that's his ambitions. Maybe that time comes to talk about his ambitions. So I can't talk on behalf of Babu. I'm not his spokesperson. I don't work in his office. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so when that time comes, Babu, maybe we'll make his own statement.
He will bring us the statement and say.
And that's why I don't know why you people are throwing up names.
No, it's what we're just trying to see.
Do you think you people we have do you know that we have three young DPS? Simbarat is a deputy party leader. Are you aware? Are you aware that we have Osotsi as a deputy party leader?
Osotsi. Are
you aware that we have Abdullah Nasir as a deputy party leader? Mbona mnatuambia tu hawa. Mbona mtuambia
I was still naming.
So Alan will be naming names.
I was still naming possible names. I just naming possible names that I think
you're meaning those who are leading a top leadership. Like, don't we have young people in the leadership of the party? Yes, we do.
But Babu Wino is one of the young leaders within the party.
Is Sifuna not young?
Okay, now
is Sarati not young?
Now when we talk about young,
is Wanga not young? Is Osotsi not young?
Okay, when we talk about
we must let's
talk about Wanga. Let's talk about Wanga. So, do you think ODM can entrust Wanga with the leadership? Looking into the history of this country.
Yes, I'm Nakujibu. Wanga is entrusted with one of the topmost leadership in the party. This the chairperson of the party. Who calls the meetings of the party? Not even the party leader.
I'm talking about presidential candidacy. The party the flag bearer.
Why, if she can be entrusted by the party chairship, she can be entrusted with the other position of the party. Being a party chairperson of ODM is not a walk in the park. So if I can be entrusted by that position, shows you how we value women leadership. And young people. Wanga is very young, by the way. Wanga is among the young leaders we have in this country, and a young woman. So we are entrusted with that top leadership. When top anybody mnataka na baba ako pale.
We are not saying Baba Ayuko. We are just looking into. We are projecting the future. What if Baba is not around? That's what that's the conversation. What if Baba is not around? Anything can happen to any human being. Baba can decide leo aseme I've tried my best for this country.
Nimekwambia Lan, wakati ikifika hapo nimekutajia karibu viongozi 10. Si the top leadership ya tunaita Central Management Committee watakaa chini. Kuna ule wakati baba akienda AUC tulikuwa na Nyong'o alikuwa amehold party leadership interimly. Hatukuwa na shida. So what's the problem? We don't have insufficiency
of leaders
or deficiency of leaders within ODM party. There are many. When Buddy left, Wanga stepped in. When I left, Junet stepped in. So we have leaders, very vibrant. Are you not saying me as a leader?
No, I was naming names. Then you told me not to name names because
no, how come Alisa? There's so many.
So you allow me to name
on the top rank leadership from
to
Baba
the list,
and then we have the leaders, those who are in the mainstream, youth league, women league, like Wanga came from the women's league to where she is today. We have those who have been rising from the youth league to where they are today. A number of them. We have good friend Benson Musun. So we have leaders within that party, over 50 leaders. who can run for presidency in this country with the endorsement of the party. But we have the top rank leadership because we can't just jump. You can't come from nowhere
And
to
you
run
can't
for
fight your
top seat.
father.
You can't fight for your father.
Yeah.
We are told this is 7 years.
What was he saying?
Yeah, never. You can play with everything.
But you don't play with your father's gonads.
Gonads, never.
Gonad cells.
Never.
I know that one. What
Never. Never. So like Baba is there, bado mnatuuliza. No, it's like you're cornering me, telling me mzee is there, bana. But that's why we are withdrawing our aspiration. That's why we're withdrawing our fighting spirit. Long live Raila Molodi. Long live Jacob.
Hey, Jacob. Okay, so
long live Baba Fidel.
Yeah, going back to what we were talking about again. Now we did not deviate. We're still on the course. Now, what do you think is the way forward with the BBC documentary? Now that the government has tried as much as possible to ban it, but
nothing can be banned.
It can't be banned.
That is one.
Yeah,
in fact, for us, we are even expecting. They arrested, I think, the 6 journalists, which was so unfortunate. We don't want to condemn in the strongest. They always condemn in the strongest term possible. I don't want to condemn in the strongest terms possible.
You want to,
but the government is doing a disservice to this country. Apprehending those people, arresting them, is sending bad signal, and it's in bad blood even for the broad-based. Are you aware that we, the ODM, we lost one of our loyal lieutenant, Honorable Charles Mondoweri, who was shot in a glare of cameras at a roundabout where the police officers, traffic officers are. So if this country is safe, if president can be beaten, thrown a shoe, let's assume that shoe had a poison in it. Not a laughing matter. Let's assume that it was that shoe had a poison on it. So, so the country is not safe, and those are trying to show the loopholes how the country is unsafe are being apprehended. They are being intimidated. They are being thrown under the bus. Why? Instead of acting swiftly to fix the nation, if the president can be beaten by a shoe, what about me? If Mondoweri, a sitting MP, can be can be assassinated on a broad daylight.
What about a normal Monanchi like
what about me? What about you? Is the country safe? How many people are being killed at Bonny Forest, around that area, in Northeastern? Is this country safe? Where are we? And then we are in a wrong, we perceive we are on a wrong trajectory. We are on a wrong, not only economically, come to the education sector. Come to health.
Are you trying to say every system, every
the
government
systems
system
are not
has
working?
failed? Now, how do we fix them?
The government are need to fix them. I may not have the answer. Audience not in.
But we can give them the ideas on how to fix it.
We have given them the technocrats to fix them. Well, let us wait.
How long are these technocrats within their service? Because we need to see that change.
Let's wait for the next 2 years.
At least
we'll judge. No, today I can't give a scorecard.
At least we were told that the next financial bill won't expose any taxes, impose any taxes to Mwananchi. So we are waiting to see how that one will work.
We have the public participation going on today, like Langata and I think other constituencies, and the MPs are on the same. That's why they have taken the bill to the people, and it's in good faith. Do you know why they are doing this? Because of what happened last year. So it was a wake-up call. And even the BBC documentary, to me, I think we need to expect part 2 and part 3, because that was part 1. For us to have everything in a full glare to the public, like, what happened and how can we curb them. For us to have this country fixed then in 2002, we had to have TJRC report. The Truth, Justice and Reconciliation
report.
And that's the same thing, maybe with this, because the state never formed any task force, which again is so unfortunate. We have institutions that need to do that, not us every now and again forming committees, task forces, and so on. So we are expecting more, and that will help us even heal so fast. That trauma will go to some of us. And then again, there are those who will feel like, I think we made a statement. Today we have the public participation going on. It is in good faith. And again, the taxes that they promised, they're not there. Meaning the CPA, certified public
accountant has done his job.
John Mbadi, the former chairperson, has done his job. So we are expecting that maybe things will be fixed, but it may not be fixed in a day. And that's why we are still going to call out the wrongdoings, the loopholes. I'm not going to donate, and I'm pretty sure in the same sentiment of James Adil Rengo, Bob. When Bob says that it's not going to donate his consciousness, not to donate, but I don't know how to put it, but like throwing away your consciousness. Some of us are of the same setting that we're not going to submit to such. We're still going to call the ills for the government to fix them. We only have one country, we only have one government, so we must call it out. And again, ODM never joined the government. We had signed agreement. If we could have joined the government, Jonet could have relinquished his minority leadership position. Milo Diamo could have relinquished our minority whip and other positions to the minority side of the government. So we are not in government. That must have
So, okay, if ODM would have joined the government, what's the minority side of the government?
the minority side.
What would have been the minority side of the
I
government?
don't know, but we are the minority.
Now
So
there
I
is
don't-
not that minority
I
side
don't-
of the
oh,
government. ODM is
Alan,
still the
Alan,
minority.
the problem,
ODM
the
is still the
problem with
minority.
me, I don't work on assumption. I work on factual fact. We are the
and
minority.
these are the facts that we have.
Yeah, these
The
are
majority is the UDA.
Yeah.
Then the minority currently is.
ODM and other small parties in the coalition.
Then that's the thing. If we had another party that
We don't have.
Now that's the thing, and that is why he cannot relinquish.
Kalonzo has few.
That is why he cannot relinquish his.
Because we don't have.
They cannot relinquish those positions.
They could have done it.
To who?
But why must it relinquish? Because why must
Now that's the question. Why must you relinquish?
We are not
the
going
same?
to do
So
that.
they are also in a constitutional crisis
No, we are not in constitutional crisis.
because they have not relinquished those
we are
positions.
not.
They are in the
Alan, we are
government.
not
They are
in
not.
government.
They are-
We are audience on the
Where are
government.
they?
Sisi Sifuna akiongea anaongeanga nini? Acha nikuulize. Sasa let me assume, umekuwa ukiniuliza nikuulize hii swali moja tu. Sisi huwa anaongelea on behalf of who?
Enough of the ODM.
That's the person of the party. We're not in government.
Of course, that's the position of the party. As an SG, he has to read what the party
Yeah,
has
that's
decided
that's
on.
where we are.
But as an individual,
That's where we are as a party. As individual, I can't be individual. I'm in a party, but I'm not partyless.
but you're not making the there are decisions you make as a party, and there are those decisions you make as an individual. That is why Bob Orengo. That's why Bob Orengo and you reiterated on the same say that ODM is a democratic party. So as much as Oyie will say whatever he feels as Oyie, he has still to remain within the boundaries of the party. But there is that what Oyie will say as Oyie. Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
As individual.
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
ODM is not in government. That is one. What we did, we signed a memorandum of the things to be done. Remember, we had. I hope that this is the only government that have never had a smooth budget since it came to power. Because we had a problem with them. Budgeted 2023 to 2024, and then we had the NADCO. People were killed. People were maimed. And properties were destroyed.
Yeah, a lot of property.
2024-2025 budget, Genesis came out. People were killed. Properties were destroyed. And people were maimed. We're in 2025-2026 budget, being on the public
Yet to
participation.
be
We're on the
to
public
public
participation, and previously it was not being done as being done today. ODM as a party came in when the country needed statesmanship the most. We can't go South Sudan way, Alan, in any other way. We can't go Somalia way. We can't go Sri Lanka way. We are Kenya. We are the big brother and a pillar of peace in East Africa.
So okay, in conclusion.
So we had to stabilize the country, and you can't stabilize a country when the government is shaky. It's not about ODM. It was about the country now. In the sentiment of Wamalwa then, when not Wamalwa but Saitoti, that at that point is that the country is much bigger than individual. At that point, country was bigger than a political party ODM. So we are patriotic.
So we have to say UDA hired the ODM specialists to come.
It was not about hiring the UDA or the ODM specialist. It was very clear to stabilize the country.
Okay, so let's use a good word. Let's use a good phrase. So the best within the best in the country were.
It's not about the best in the country. Then we had numbers. We have numbers.
Yes,
I'll tell you. We have numbers. I think we are the not I think, but we are the second largest. No, not in numbers. We are the second in numbers in the country after UDA party. But again, in UDA today, because there's a lot of division, I think they're not the second. In fact, they're not the majority, and we all know even the court ruled on that. Though I don't want to delve into that today. So the ODM was coming in place because this is the only party that has a following with the one command. When the party leader says it is right, we go right. So when the party leader said that, we call it off, and that's why Gen Z protests had to fizzle off. Because we also have Gen Zs who are in ODM like me. When the party called us off from the street, we had to go back home and listen to what the party is saying. And then again, at some point, we must be very patriotic. So we couldn't let the country to burn down just because we want to please someone. You can't tell me, there's a question now you are interested. You can't tell me that it must be someone because of someone. It is William Ruto who was sworn in then. We are going to help them because they gave us that Ruto. Utumaliza now is it 2 years. Constitutionally, we are about that old constitution very high. We're not going to get power through
any other illegal means.
Orthodox means or shortcuts. If it is on dialogue, people can sit down. That's the best thing that every country needs to emulate, I think. Raila Amolo Odinga gave a good example, that's the party leader. A good example that when Donald Trump came into power, the Democrats, yes, Democrat ministers in government. What's the problem? They are US citizens before they become Democrats. It's the same thing at home. John Mbadi is not an alien. John Mbadi is not a Ugandan. Opiwanda is not a Tanzanian. He's a Kenyan. When the president felt like I need other Kenyans from the other side of political divide to come and serve Kenyans, so it's the problem. To me, I don't see any problem having Joe.
But had they to
Joe is not an Ethiopian. He's a Kenyan.
But had they to send an MOU or
MOU was sent later. I think before they get them in. No. There was no MOU then. Alan, MOU is sent this year. Those people joined government then. Mauna Saudi, MOU was sent May. No, not May, but March.
But it was before. It was after they had the other sit
after very long time. After the AUC. So the AU is now coming in.
So it was after very long talks with Raila. So the AU signing of the MOU was just to formalize and tell people like we are working together for the sake of the peace of the country.
Exactly, and also to give the government of the day the ultimatums and what they need to do, and fulfill to the people. And that's why we have the abduction, the compensation of those who are killed. We also have the implementation of the NADCO report. We need to have the IBC in place and so on. Nobody's talking about these things apart from us. We are talking about issues, not people.
Hey, issues that you're fixing, you're just talking about issues, and like any other time when people talk about issues and nothing happens about those issues.
No,
talk about IBC being in place. Okay, now they are
the IBC things have been running.
I'm following the
running. The names have been submitted.
Yes, submitted to the
commissioners already. Yes. You're waiting the chair to be
placed
between Anamadi and Nyachai, one of them, because those are the twins which were submitted. So
what do you think? What do you think about it?
About what?
About the IBC and those who will be sitting in that position.
Maybe get the best. What I think, maybe get the best. Yeah, don't talk about it. Maybe get the best.
Party position, Party position. Don't talk about IBC before the party says what it has to say. Yeah. You only talk about when the party has to say. Okay, let's finish up with what happened in Migori. What happened in Migori?
Before we come to the Migori thing, Machenge katembea.
Ngoja, Wamnyoro case, it's an episode on its own. Wamnyoro case is an episode on its own. Let's talk about Migori. Let's talk about what happened in Migori.
Thank you. First, it was so unfortunate, and I think I touched on the security part of it. This number one, president's number one. I think it's number one citizen.
Sure.
So when number one is threatened, we can throw a shoe to him. I was giving an analogy that let's assume that shoe had poison, something like that, and so on. Where could have that left us? It was so unfortunate. Those are some of the things that we need to see. We don't need to wow them. What happened to Kenya was bad. And that shows you and tells us that we are not secure as a nation. I think we need to recess and check, like, where's our security? How is our security today? I think these are some of the sectors that the state need to recheck them, not only for the individual person but for the whole country. Because we also know that Ongondo was shot and then
assassinated. Let's use the word assassinated.
And then we also know that people are being abducted and disappearing. So where's our security? Leave alone. This one's in the city, and the northeast and what's happening there.
The Al-Shabaab
and so on. So our country is not secured. I think we have porous borders, but now let me come to the shoe camera. Or the shoe. When the shoe was thrown...
When you to call it a shoe camera, okay, what do you mean when you say talk about the shoe camera?
Maybe the guy wanted to take a camera, akajisahau ni shoe ni kiatu.
Oh, he wanted to throw a camera. Okay.
So, I think this is not the first time that this is happening. I think Uhuru Kenyatta pia kuna wakati alishua kiatu pale Migori. But let me take you back to 1966.
Talking about Mayai Ameoza thing.
Mayai Ameoza, Kisumu. So let's assume that President William Ruto was having a beef, or was not in good books, or the securities were hungered to open fire. What could have happened, you my guys? At some point, you need to think beyond.
Many people have lost their lives in that.
We had the Kisumu massacre.
Yeah.
So such things need to be called out strongly. Don't need to happen. You don't need to celebrate such things at any point. You know, there's no heroism in doing nonsense and nothing. If you feel like you didn't need to go to the Mkutano, you would have
stay home,
do other things. Let's assume the president was ruthless and the securities got hungered. So the things have changed today, yes. They could have opened fire on people. Okay. George Bush was thrown to a shoe by a journalist, I think from Iraq or Pakistan, if I'm not wrong.
Pakistan, that should be Pakistan.
But again, it was something that was neutralized. So, if that guy who threw a shoe was to be neutralized, what would have happened? Those are some of the things we are asking ourselves. Why must you risk your life for nonsense? For saying a thing which is not substantive. Even if you're hungered, you could have gone to the farm to other things. Use that and do other things. So, it is not in good faith, it is not in good books with us, we are not happy. Personally, I'm not happy. So, these are some of the things that, if it's a young person, need to be called out. But again, this also means to security that they need to check and recheck the security, not only of the president, but of the nation, of the country. Because this number one, I've been putting it like, let's assume that shoe had poison gas in it, or a poison powder in it. What could have happened to the head of the state?
Now you'll be planning for a state burial for now.
We don't need to think about that. It's bad. It is bad. That is one. Second, on the same breath, is let's not assume now, but where do you get the guts? Where do you get that courage to do such? I think first, as I was telling you, that the nation is tired. That's why someone goes into the sixth floor and turns it down. The people are depressed. The president needs to recheck the economy of the country. Economy holds everything. The managers will not break. People will not be committing suicide. People will not be risking their life for such things like throwing shoes.
Because they have nothing to live for.
They have nothing to live for. They have no chance to lose. They have lost everything. So anasema liwe liwalo. Wacha niwe kama hero. But there's no heroism in that. So that is so unfortunate. It happened to Uhuru Kenyatta then, in same Migori. It happened to Mzee Kenyatta then, in Kisumu, in 1966, the first Kenyatta. And then it happened yesterday. But I think there are those also people so impatient and so on. So rais anafaa kujangalia uchumi ya nchi. Juu watu wanaona hakuna ile nitapoteza. Heri nikufe tu niende. So there are those who want to die or doing other things. But again there are those who kill themselves. There are those things which are happening in the country. Alan, I know you're talking to people day in, day out. They'll tell you that things are not pretty well. Things are not okay. Things are not good. So that's why people can risk like, there's nothing I'm going to lose here, even if I do this. So it's so unfortunate for head of state. But again, this goes to security. Did they do? How is the president protected properly? This head of state. It's not another person. But now, if the head of state they can build security to a point that that guy was very close to the podium or to the vehicle that the president was using. Where does this now leave a common citizen? Where does this leave the MP who was assassinated? Where does it leave the governors? Where does this leave the state? So security is at stake, it is at question, and that's why we need that BBC part 2 to show us this part 3 and 2, to show us these loopholes to fix this country.
And do we need BBC to show us? And Because I believe there are things we can all fix also by
because
the
the
country
ones
can fix
the,
all
one-
these
the ones
things
the
by
ones at
themselves.
home are maybe at some point compromise, and then the fear, because you see when the guys who did that were
The
arrested
BBC
and
were
so on.
arrested.
Yeah, so maybe at some point, if the international bodies comes in, it's good for us.
And people can trust you more than they trust
Not
you.
it's not about trust, but maybe it's good for us, because maybe we are here. There's another person may not have even a citizenship of another country, so it's Kenya. Maybe they'll come Mwamufinye. So
Tunakuja wamufinye. Okay, thank you so much. I totally condemn what happened in Migori. That is yesterday. Yeah, I totally condemn it. It's not safe, as he said. It's not really safe, and you're just risking your life for nothing, completely for nothing. A few people on social media will celebrate you and make you their online hero, but you're going to suffer. Eventually, they will get who did it, and this guy is going to pay for it. Eventually they get him, and he's going to pay for it. And the worst of it was, I want to thank the presidential security guys for not overreacting, because in any country, if a danger that can lead to the death of the president is exposed, the suspect must be neutralized immediately. And that is firing whichever cause they can use to neutralize the suspect. But at least in that one, Ruto gave a gesture, and it's like Achana Nayo, and he continued with the talk. That was so mature of him on that end. So congratulations for that. And any Kenyan who feels my sentiment is not right, something would have happened, that is according to you. Because again, we cannot be in a country that is chaotic, and there is no any leader who is doing what, who is giving the directions of the same. So that was wrong. I don't know if it was a young person or an old person, because we've not known who that was.
Who did that?
But whoever did that, don't ever do that again. Just in case you go scot-free without being found, don't do that again. And for any other person in this country, please, it amounts to nothing completely. Like, you don't just leave your home. Hata kama ni unapenda, unasemanga, there's this meme inakwanga TikTok most of the time. Unasemanga aje? I love problems.
I love problems.
Yeah.
Shida jamani.
I love problems.
Usitafute
Shida. Okay, kuna shida zenye unazitafuta ndogo ndogo, but not to that multitude, because that one will cost your life completely. And there's no any lawyer who will ever represent your case, or present your case in the court to defend you, because it's rightfully in the constitution. The president is the first and has to be protected by all means. So don't ever do that again. So what are your parting shots on the issue of BBC documentary? Yeah, generally on the issue of the BBC documentary.
The BBC documentary is a good thing for us.
You want part 2 and part 3?
It's a good thing for us. It will make us, I put it before, it will reconcile some of us and heal some of us. And again, to also let us know the truth, because at least now we know shot who, like now that they only used, I think, there were only three guys that they used, how they were shot. But again, also, okay, we breached the state, I'll say the protected areas, but again, these areas are ours. It's our inch. And what was happening, I think, was the right thing then, because they refused to listen to us. They were passing the bill against the will of the people, and we're expecting more from not only BBC and even our local, because local medias, because that's where now the ops are, bro. I'll tell you, all these other state institutions, a number of them are compromised. We don't trust them. Imagine you should not trust these people, but maybe media can give us another reason to trust them if they can stand for the people and hear what need to be heard, not impress, but do the right thing. So the BBC thing is a blessing to us,
and you love it. We want part 2 and part 3. I know every Kenyan will be looking at part 2 and part 3, but maybe it will be there, or maybe it will not be there. But at least whatever we've received is enough for us to know what is really happening within the country. So, and that, yes, personally, my personal views on that, yes, it was eye-opening to see what really happened, and who did whatever they did, which was not right. No one was supposed to lose a life, because all these young people were unarmed. None of them was posing any danger to anyone, any security officer at any point. I believe the best way would have been they just leave them to do whatever they do, ask them not to harm anything or destroy anything, then bring them back home safely. So we are really very sorry for the families that lost their loved ones to the struggle of what we call democracy and rights that we should be getting for free without that struggle. We have sent our condolences to that, and we know even us saying sorry cannot really fill in the gap that was left by the people that you loved or we loved so much. And we hope next time the security system will be nice and good to the people.
And I think on the same,
Yeah.
Alan, maybe the umetaja the security system yetu kidogo. I think I love how the South Africans security always handle the demonstrations and picketing. They're friendly. When you meet these people picketing on the street, like when you had the Gen Z, I never saw any young person having a stone. I never saw any young people having a crude weapon or even a stick. What we had, there were three things: a bottle of water, and
Kenyan flag.
a Kenyan flag, and what? And maybe a flower's flower.
Yeah.
So there was nothing that they were carrying that could have harmed the other person on the other side. That is one. So at some point I'm feeling like maybe our security Kiganjo syllabus need to be revised. Maybe on how they need to handle the protest, because this is your brother, this is your sister, this is your cousin, this is your sibling. So handle me as a Kenyan. You're a Kenyan. I'm not an alien. That is one. Again, on our security, I think there are a lot that need to be not only amended but need to be looked again. I think in our constitution just need to be implemented. That how do security apparatus handle those are picketing, and those are picketing also how should they do it? You don't need to block the road, you don't need to burn the tires and so on. We can picket and the business going on as usual. That's how we see it. That's how I see it. We can decide to use the one on the roadside, and we notice the security, so the jam, they notice the traffic, how the picketing will be going and so on, and that's how it's being done worldwide. So can securities be in position to escort at some point, just escort those who are picketing peacefully? If they were going to parliament, they escort them, and then those are going to present the petition. But immediately you start throwing tear gas, you
cause mayhem and chaos.
And then they will retaliate. Because if you attack me, I'll have to defend myself, man. So if you throw a tear gas in any way possible, at least I also try to protect myself, because umekuja vita, msekuja vita. Nimekutoka kwangu, niko na bottle of water and a bag, and that bag I'm only carrying a flag behind it. So that is one. If our security operators will understand how to handle. Another thing I think at some point I may also disagree with this I'll say historical recruitment of our police officer, that lazima wakuwe wenye wameanguka mtihani. Yeah, from IFPA and IFI. We also can also have those of passion, those are intelligent in the security, not only in how do you call them? Not only in the
NIC. Intelligent, talking about intelligence.
Not intelligent, but the police officers, yes. Yeah. Si lazima ikuwe yule mtu alianguka mtendo anachukuliwa. Si, haifai hivyo. There are those who are passionate about being a security officer, being a police officer. So these are some of the things. But another thing, I think this again goes to the state, because again their living standard is not that good. So when they come outside, they are frustrated. So that frustration they put on them, on the citizens, on the civilians. Because there's someone who at home there, wanakukwambia mabati and so on. The pay is low, so the frustration. So I think the welfare of the police officers also need to be looked into. So I think these are some of the things that once a nation we need to look into and to fix our country. It's something I think is not that much difficult for our country to do. They're doing affordable housing. They could also have done the affordable housing first, maybe for the police officers as well. They take them off from the kibandas to some nice settlement areas. They improve their living standard. So tuko tunasoma ile wakati pale nikisoma historia. So it's the same thing I'm still seeing outside here. So I think this might be some of the things attributing to such things, because the living standard, the Kiganjo syllabus. So you are a frustrated man. That's why you see some of them, they do commit suicide as well and so on. So some of the things that as a country we need to have information about. And as we love this country, I tell you. And those same people who found this love this country. And when we were coming on street, I remember one of my good friend Muchuma akitoka pale kwa lori anamwambia, I'm fighting for you. Huyu mnampiga hapa ni kazini wako, labda mjui. So these are some of the things. So the Kiganjo syllabus, they need to know how they need to handle
people.
picketing, protesters on the street, and then maybe living standard. I was quite frustrated, son. Yeah, those on the BBC and the Portland.
Yes, so that is you've heard Warrior said, and it's something that at long last someone needs to talk about, and it needs to be worked out as soon as possible. We appreciate every person, we appreciate every profession, and we love, because that is where most of us get a living from. It's either you have a brother who is in the force, or a wife who is in the force, or a girlfriend who is in the forces, or maybe father or mother who is in the forces. So it's something good, but the government need to look into the welfare of each and every individual. And for that, we're closing it now. Until next time, you meet us at the same place, same time, with the commissar himself, the ODM enthusiast. Please, don't leave without subscribing. And what you find so good, you can share it. And leave your comment. Let's know what you're trying to say about the same. Thank you.
Thank you.